You're not exactly overweight, but you're not lean either. You're just soft. No visible abs, not much muscle, very little shape. You try eating more because you want to build muscle, and somehow your stomach just gets bigger. Then you try eating less to get lean, and instead of looking ripped, you just look smaller. If that sounds familiar, there's a good chance you're skinny fat. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it. But first we need to answer one important question. Are you actually skinny fat, or are you just assuming you are? Because there are a few common signs that make it pretty easy to tell. Sign number 1. You look pretty good when you're wearing clothes. T-shirt on? Not bad. Hoodie on? Maybe you even look athletic. But then the shirt comes off. And suddenly, it's a completely different story. Your stomach looks soft. Your chest looks flat. Your arms have some size, but there's almost no definition. Basically, clothes give you shape that your physique doesn't really have yet. Sign number 2. You can grab a noticeable amount of fat around your waist. Stand normally and pinch the area around your stomach and love handles. If you can grab a decent handful while the rest of your body still looks relatively small, that's another common sign of being skinny fat. Sign number 3. There's almost no visible muscle definition. Your arms don't have much separation. Your shoulders don't have that rounded capped appearance. There's no clear chest line. Not much vascularity. Everything just looks smooth and soft. Sign number 4. You're weaker than you probably should be considering how long you've been training. If you've been consistently lifting for a year, but your strength has barely improved, that's something to pay attention to. For example, if you've trained seriously for a decent amount of time and still struggle to bench around your body weight, your training or nutrition may not be producing much muscle. If several of these signs describe you, then yes, there's a good chance you're dealing with the classic skinny fat physique. But before we talk about the solution, we need to fix the mistakes that are keeping you there. Mistake number 1. You're eating the wrong way. The biggest question is usually, should I bulk or should I cut? You hear that you need to eat big to get big, so you decide to bulk. Now you're adding extra meals, drinking extra calories, eating even when you're not hungry, and telling yourself every extra calorie is helping you build muscle. A few weeks later, you step in front of the mirror. Your arms barely changed. Your chest still looks the same. But your stomach? That definitely grew. Here's the problem. If you already have relatively low muscle mass and noticeable body fat, aggressively increasing your calories can simply make you softer. That extra belly fat isn't magically disappearing just because you're lifting weights. So you panic and go in the opposite direction. Now you start cutting. Hard. You slash your calories because you want to finally see some definition. But there's another problem. If there isn't much muscle underneath the fat, getting smaller doesn't suddenly make you look muscular. Your waist gets smaller, but so do your arms. Your chest gets flatter. Your shoulders look narrower. Instead of looking lean and athletic, you simply look like a smaller version of yourself. And if you push your calorie deficit too aggressively, building muscle becomes even harder because your body doesn't have ideal resources for training and recovery. So you end up bouncing between two extremes. Bulk. Get softer. Cut. Get smaller. Bulk again. Get softer again. And nothing really changes. For most skinny fat beginners, neither an aggressive bulk nor an aggressive cut is the best starting strategy. And that brings us to the good news. Being skinny fat can actually put you in a great position to make noticeable changes, because, especially if you're relatively new to proper resistance training, you may be able to build muscle while losing fat. That process is called body recomposition, and I'll show you exactly how to approach it. Mistake number 2. You think more cardio will fix everything. You see fat around your stomach, so your first thought is, I need to burn more calories. So you start doing cardio. And then more cardio. Long runs. Hard intervals. Sprints. HIIT sessions. Maybe you finish your workout completely exhausted, sweating everywhere, barely able to walk. And you think, there's no way this isn't working. The more exhaustion doesn't automatically mean better results. If your main goal is to change a skinny fat physique, building muscle needs to be one of your biggest priorities. And if you're lifting hard while also piling huge amounts of intense cardio on top of it, recovery can become a problem. Your legs are constantly tired. Your energy drops. Your lifting performance gets worse. Your motivation disappears. And instead of getting stronger in the gym, you're just trying to survive every workout. Then there's another problem. You hate the routine. You force yourself through it for 3 or 4 weeks. Eventually, you miss one workout, then another, and suddenly you're back to where you started. Fortunately, you don't need to turn yourself into a marathon runner to fix skinny fat. The solution is much simpler. We'll get to that shortly. Mistake number 3. You keep chasing extreme diets. Every few months there's another diet promising to solve everything. Keto, carnivore, zero carb, ultra low fat, no sugar, no bread. Basically, no happiness. Now, the problem isn't necessarily that every one of these diets is automatically terrible. The problem is what often happens when people use extreme restriction as their only strategy. Suddenly, normal foods become scary. Carbs? Bad. Rice? Dangerous. Bread? Apparently a crime. Fruit? Somehow that gets blamed too. So Monday through Friday, you're perfect. You follow every rule. You avoid everything you enjoy. Then Saturday arrives. You've been thinking about pizza all week. One slice becomes 3. 3 slices become the whole meal. Then the cookies appear. And now you're thinking, well, I already ruined today. So you keep eating. Then comes the guilt. Sunday becomes another last day. Monday morning, new diet. New rules. Same cycle. Congratulations. You've created a system that you can follow for 5 days and hate for the other 2. What you actually need is consistency, not extremes. And what usually makes consistency easier? Eating like a normal person. You don't need to eliminate entire food groups. You don't need to be terrified of carbohydrates. You need the right amount of total calories, enough protein, mostly nutritious foods, and enough flexibility that you can actually maintain the diet. That's it. Eat food you enjoy. Keep your calories under control. Hit your protein target. And stop blaming one specific macronutrient for everything. Carbs themselves aren't automatically making you fat. Consistently eating more calories than you need can. Alright. We've covered what not to do. Now let's build the actual plan. Here's how to fix a skinny fat physique in 4 straightforward steps. 1. Eat around maintenance or use a small deficit. Not a huge bulk. Not a crash diet. Somewhere in the middle. For many skinny fat beginners, eating around maintenance or using a modest calorie deficit if fat loss is the priority can be a practical starting point. The goal? Give your body enough energy to train hard, recover, and gradually improve your body composition. That's body recomposition. Building muscle while losing fat. And if you're new to structured resistance training, returning after a long break, or simply haven't trained effectively, you may actually be in a great position to do both. So how do you estimate your calories? Pretty simple. Use a TDE calculator. Enter your age, height, weight, sex, and activity level. It gives you an estimated maintenance target. But remember, it's an estimate. Your real maintenance becomes clearer when you consistently track your food and body weight for a few weeks. And this is where most people mess things up. 2,900 calories Monday, because they guessed. 1,600 Tuesday because they felt guilty. Skip dinner Wednesday because the scale went up. Then lose control over the weekend. Now your intake is all over the place. What matters is your average intake over time. If your target is around 2,200 calories, stay reasonably close to that target consistently. Too much food consistently? Fat loss can stall. Too little? Your training performance and ability to build muscle can suffer. This is where tracking tools like Cal.AI can help. You can track calories and macros, protein, carbohydrates, and fat without trying to remember everything you ate. You can log meals, scan foods, and keep your numbers in front of you. Because let's be honest, you're not going to eat chicken, rice, and broccoli every single day. You'll eat at restaurants. You'll grab packaged food. You'll try some random high-protein food you saw online. That's normal. The goal isn't a magical diet. It's enough consistency to know roughly what you're eating. Because you can't adjust numbers you never measured. Now calories are handled. Next comes arguably the most important macronutrient. Step 2. Prioritize protein. Protein gives your body the amino acids it needs to repair and build muscle. And when you're losing fat, adequate protein helps preserve lean mass. A useful target for most people trying to build or maintain muscle is around 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. Then distribute the rest of your calories between carbohydrates and fats based on your preferences and training needs. You don't need to make this complicated. And no, You do not have to eat plain chicken breast 6 times a day. Greek yogurt, eggs, lean meat, fish, cottage cheese, milk, protein shakes, beans and lentils. Find a few protein-rich foods you actually enjoy. Then rotate them throughout the week. Keep it simple. Calories manage the overall energy equation. Protein supports the muscle-building equation. And now, we need to give that protein a reason to become muscle. Step 3. Train like you actually want to build muscle. Walking into the gym without a plan is one of the easiest ways to spend months training without making measurable progress. You arrive. Look around. The bench is busy. So you do curls, then some random machine, then chest press, then another set of curls, because, why not? You sweat. You get a pump. You leave. But what actually improved? You have no idea. If you want to transform a skinny fat physique, resistance training needs structure. And one of the biggest principles you need to understand is progressive overload. Your training should gradually improve over time. More weight, more reps, better technique, better control, greater range of motion. For example, maybe you bench press 135 pounds for 10 quality reps. Eventually, you might hit 11, then 12, or move up to 140. Small improvements. Repeated for months. That's how progress compounds. And your hard sets should actually be challenging. Those final reps shouldn't feel like the first reps. But challenging doesn't mean ugly. If your hips are flying off the bench, the bar is bouncing. Your spotter is doing half the rep. And every repetition looks like an emergency. That isn't impressive progressive overload. That's chaos. One is training the target muscles. The other may just be collecting future problems. So choose a structured resistance training program. Track your exercises. Use good technique. Train sufficiently hard. And follow the program long enough to actually progress. Not 3 workouts. Not 1 week, months. Step 4. Fix the rest of your lifestyle. Because fixing skinny fat doesn't stop when you leave the gym. What you do during the other 23 hours matters too. Start with daily movement. A practical target for many people is around 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day, depending on your current activity level. Walk during phone calls. Take short walks after meals. Use the stairs when it makes sense. Just move more. You don't necessarily need brutal cardio every day. Daily walking can increase activity without constantly beating up your recovery. Then there's sleep. Aim for at least 7 hours. And many adults do well around 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. You can have the perfect diet, the perfect training program. But if you're sleeping 5 hours every night, and walking into every workout exhausted, you're making the process unnecessarily difficult. And finally, stay consistent. This isn't a 4-week challenge. It's not something you do until your vacation and then completely abandon. You're building habits that should become part of your normal life. You don't need perfection. You need consistency. 6 months of reasonably consistent effort will be 3 weeks of perfection, followed by quitting. Every time, you need consistent execution of what actually matters. Build muscle. Reduce excess body fat. Recover. Repeat. Do that long enough, and eventually you won't be asking whether you should bulk or cut. You'll look in the mirror and actually see the difference.